Hey y'all, I'm Tanya. Welcome back to another episode of Culture 101 on NiaZamar's channel. So this week I want to talk to y'all about cultural appropriation. Recently they had stuff on Instagram because Kim K, I'm like, even though I don't want to talk about her, whatever. Kim K was wearing these braids, and this is the second encounter, probably third, whatever, who can count anymore, where she's wearing braids and giving it a different name based on whatever she wants to call it. And folks are upset, and folks are being like, you stay culturally appropriating, you know? And the issue is that people are hurt. I was mad, hurt, whatever you want to call it. I would say hurt that she's consistently taking from Black culture, but not necessarily giving anything. She's not necessarily showing up in the ways that people would hope that, you know, she would, seeing how she has so much to do with and has enmeshed herself in Black culture in so many different ways that she has over the past few years. And she's just one, and I want to be really clear about that, one example of cultural appropriation. It looks like so many different things. It could be braids, it could be clothing that people wear, it could be there's so many different aspects of it, but appropriation is, in a nutshell, pretty much when somebody takes from one culture and then decides to wear it, but doesn't acknowledge its history, its significance, the people itself. They're taking from something, and they're not showing compassion and kindness in the process of their taking. It's very much in the way of being, I don't want to say selfish about it, because selfish isn't a bad thing, but the goal of their taking is only for their own pleasure, and they don't actually care about where it came from. See, the thing about cultural appropriation is when folks are doing it, they're not asking for any permission. It's not like something where they're actually seeking that culture, that group's opinion about it. It's very much a say of like, well, I like the way that you wear your afro. I'm going to do my hair in the form of an afro, and then I'm going to do it for a few days, whatever, enjoy it, and move out my life. And it's very much without any recognition of the history or why I wear an afro or anything like that, or what it means to me. And you see, I think that this is a sticky subject because us as Black folks, particularly I'm going to speak of Black folks, not Black, there are some Black folks who are like, I don't care, like, it's just style, it's just fashion, whatever. Other people who are like, I care so much, it really hurts me, you know, it really bothers me. And for me, I'm not here, and I never am going to be here to talk about who's right, who's wrong, or try to convert the masses. Like, that's just not my job. That's not what I'm signing up for. I'm not here for it. I'm here to affirm people who are trying to figure out how they feel and what is happening and why does it feel ways for them, to help them better understand what does it impact and what does it mean. So when it comes to cultural appropriation, I feel like it's important to note that the reason why cultural appropriation is so painful and hurtful is it lacks compassion and it lacks dialogue and conversation between two parties to really understand each other. And that's a painful process because us as human beings, like, we need that process to happen for us to all feel good or whatever. And oftentimes why it's so painful for people is because if you're that girl who got made fun of for her lips, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, I'm gonna have big lips, it hurts. It hurts because it brings up some of that pain. It triggers some of that pain of like, the people who are making fun of you are now wanting to look like you, but also not acknowledging you and acknowledging what they did and how they hurt you. You know, it's kind of like locks. People actually have not received jobs because of it, you know? So when you think about anti-Blackness and how anti-Blackness might fall into cultural appropriation, it's people who are not able to have access to resources, financial resources, job resources. Or, and anti-Blackness is one example. I think that there's examples of cultural appropriation for South Asian folks also that have happened. And it's what's really important to note about it is that in the experience of cultural appropriation, it is hurtful to the people who have had resources and opportunities denied to them, that have had large systemic impacts because of those denials, now being able to watch the world literally want to soak up and be and embody so much of what is our culture, what is their culture, and still not be able to acknowledge, hey, this is what we did, this is how we've hurt you, this is the ways that we've impacted you. And when and it's also, we're talking systemically a lot of the things, right? So Kim K in this instance represents a system, represents an entire system that takes away opportunities from folks and financial resources from folks for how they look, what they do, and deems braids as ghetto if it's on a Black girl, but innovative on a white girl. This entire system actually has impact on people's daily life because, you know, your opportunities, your job market, being able to have finances, and for impacts your ability to feed your children. Very real, practical thing. It really is happening. And people are like, this is just braids, it's just cute, it's just fun, whatever. But we're not talking about the cute and fun of it. We're talking about what is the real life implications for a person who feels like they need to, like, how does that impact their spirit, you know? How does that impact their finances? If they're like, I know that for me to get this job, I have to go into this interview with my hair straight. But then I scroll through Instagram and see someone else be able to be like, I'm gonna rock these braids. It's like, it lacks compassion. And in all of that, we can't control other people, right? So I'm not here to be like, if you're culturally appropriating, you need to stop culturally appropriating right now. I would love to say that. But for me personally, I'm like, I understand that I can't control what so-and-so's gonna do their hair, and whoever's braiding so-and-so's hair, I hope that they're making a pretty penny off of it. Because I can't control what anyone else is doing, I have to grab that power back from myself and think about, how am I going to interact with the world? And I really encourage you to do the same thing. How are you going to interact with the world in order to care for yourself? I hope that this conversation around culture can move to a place where we start talking about how are we going to appreciate each other's culture and share with each other, and how are we going to mend some of these relationships. But in the meantime, between time, you know, because we can't control other people, I'm really wondering, how are we going to heal? What does healing look like then? How do we get to a place where we can step on Instagram and see that this has happened and not feel so bothered, so hurt, so full of rage and pain because of all the things that have been denied to us, that we see people literally stealing from us? How do we get to a place where it doesn't fuck up our energy sources, it doesn't fuck up our insides through witnessing and watching that? And I'm not trying to be here and be an expert. I only want to facilitate conversation. Really is what I'm trying to do right now, is facilitate dialogue, so we're thinking and focusing more on, not saying more on, I'm facilitating dialogue because I want us to be able to acknowledge what is happening and be like, hey, this is happening and this is an issue and it really impacts our life, but also able to say, how will I take care of myself and all of the things? Because when I go outside, I might see some white girl rocking some braids, or, you know what I mean? Like, I might see a white girl in a sari because she thinks it's cute. Like, it might happen. It's fucked up that it might happen because of the dynamics of it, but then how are we going to care for ourselves? And I've been thinking about this for myself, and I'm like, how do I care for myself when I'm seeing people steal from my culture who can give a less flying fuck if we're alive or not? And I think it really comes down to doing things just for us. I think it comes down to being able to have certain rituals or actions that we do for us that we don't share, you know? For me, it's being like, as a hairstylist, being like, I have the right to pick and choose who I do what hairstyles on. for me, and I'm going to really use that right. For me, when it comes to, particularly around cultural appropriation, I'm at this place where like I'm no longer explaining. People be like, is that your real hair? Yeah. Like I'm no longer explaining to people how I get my hair the way I get it. Like this is sacred, this is mine, I will not give it away. And I have the power to not give it away. And if another Black person or another whoever chooses to share and whatever, that is theirs to do with. I don't control everybody. But how I'm going to take care of myself and be mindful of my own healing and my own energy is to start taking in the things that are really sacred to me about my adornment, about my beauty, and hold them as sacred, and not feel so much pressure to explain all the time, and start being really clear with my boundaries around with people, and not feeling like I have to be so kind and be like, oh well, no, I'm not here for it, I'm not doing it. And not even from a place of anger, but just from a place of like, I get to protect my energy, I get to keep this for me, you know? So please comment below, what are some of the things that y'all do in order to really protect your beauty rituals? What are some of the things you do when faced up against cultural appropriation that you see happening around you? How do you take care of yourself? Please tell me below what methods have been working for you, and hopefully we can have some dialogue and share, and we can all walk away with new ways to really implement some self-care within all of this. Thank you again for watching, and please check out next week where we will talk about colorism / shadeism / all the things. It'll be there. So please come check back in next week and we can further the conversation and have some more dialogue. And if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. I really want us to keep the conversation going. Enjoy your week. Peace.